So, welcome everybody. We are absolutely thrilled that you're here to join us for our three-session clutter clearing series. This is a series that actually was brought to you by popular demand. There was really a request to have this, and thanks to actually Sherry Sanders, who I see just logged on, she made a wonderful connection to Marilyn, who is a professional clutter clearer. We have this incredible series. So for those of you who don't know me, and I think most of you do, but I'm Rachel Justice, and along with Jillian Levinson, I co-lead the Woman to Woman program. And again, this session today will be recorded. It will be edited to have all patient protected information taken out, but you'll be able to find it in our Woman to Woman video library on YouTube, along with lots of other resources. So whether you're joining us live today or whether you are watching this recorded, thank you for coming. But most importantly, thank you to Marilyn. Thank you for being flexible in terms of your format and your timing and making sure that this information is accessible to the entire woman-to-woman community. We're really thrilled to have you here. Last week's session was met with such positive feedback, and we're really grateful to learn from you and spend the next hour with you. So welcome, and I'm going to mute myself, and I am really excited to learn alongside everyone else.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's so nice to be here, and thanks everyone for coming. Okay, so what are we doing today? Let's start with an overview of what we're doing today. You're going to learn the time boxing technique, which I touched upon last week. We'll talk about creating a clutter-free zone and then incorporating one habit to help you with the clutter clearing work you've done. But first, if anybody wants, I'm going to leave just a few minutes for people to share. If you did some clutter clearing work last week, if you could keep your shares to 2 or 3 minutes. Did you do any clutter clearing? Or if you have any questions about your process, how was your week in regards to your clutter clearing process? Yeah, Lucy, of
Well,
course,
of
I want
course,
to know.
I can't resist. I tackled the sock drawer, which has a lot of other things in it besides socks. I got rid of a lot of socks, a lot of other stuff. Now it's nice and neat. Then I went up another drawer, did the next drawer, and tonight I'm going to do the third drawer.
Should we high five? High five. Fantastic. That's nice, Lucy. Did
And
it feel good?
what a relief, because I've been saying for about a year I've got to tackle my sock drawer, but that's not the only thing I need to tackle. And whatever it was that you said, it was enormously helpful.
Fantastic. And just so nice. Like, even just, it seems like a small thing, but it's a big deal. Little areas, it really changes how we feel. So thank you for sharing, Lucy. Anybody else want to share a 2 or 3 minute share? Janet, I was thinking about you. I was wondering.
Yeah, I did started that night the box of pictures that I had to transfer to a crate. And so I got halfway through and I'm planning on doing more. That's why I'm watching this again today. It's giving me motivation. So I didn't get all the way through, but a lot, it's hard because I see pictures that I love and then I'm taking them out because a lot of them are of, even though they were my mother's, they're of like my family and my sisters. So it's hard, but I'm doing it little by little.
Yeah. High five. I do a lot of high
Thank
fives.
you.
Yeah, because
Thank
like especially like the first week that you did photos, which is the more emotional, sometimes more challenging. So that's fantastic. I hope you'll celebrate every little success.
thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Riat, how do you pronounce your
It's
name?
Maria.
Riat.
I'm in a quandary because I've been working on trying to do this for so many years. I have every book and and I read them. But I'm here with, I just wanted to mention a slightly different approach. I've had an injury that makes it very difficult for me right now, getting treated to lift or move or go into things full force, which is the way I would like to, hours and hours. So for me, I'm going to listen and learn, and then maybe I can glean something, or maybe there's some hints. For I think what you just said, what I just heard, is really take a small area, a small task, and not
Mhm.
chastise myself because I can't do all of the rest of it right now. and that whole question of feeling an accomplishment and a just achievement for whatever I can do instead of the opposite. Thank you.
Exactly. Thanks for sharing. Because especially because you have to take care of your health first. I mean, it's just how it is. So if you want to do just sometimes it's just a little area that's close by that you do. But I love that. Thank you for sharing. C.
Well, I got a chance to what I did was I had things that were down that really needed to be hung. So I sat down and I put them all on hangers. I went and got a bunch of hangers, sat down and did. And then somebody was kind enough to put it in the closet for me. And then I had like maybe just like 4 files that I went through and I shred those that was not right in those 4 files only.
That's beautiful. Sometimes it's like the things like you did the unfinished clutter, the things that need to be hung. That's a form of clutter is things unfinished if you missed last week. So that's so great. And then just some paper, when you do like a little at a time, it really adds up, which I'll talk about today. So thank you for sharing. And then I'm sorry, Zoom user, I don't have the name, but
I'm
you
sorry, I
can.
didn't change it. It's Robin. I
Okay, hi, Robin.
don't know why every time I have to change that. Okay. Yeah, I finished cleaning out my dresser and organizing that. And I did it by colors, mostly black and white.
Mhm.
And then I took we had some old videos, which was on our plate anyway to do, that we put onto a thumb drive. And now we can send them out as, in an email to various family members. And the last thing I did was I put a shopping bag, which I used to do forever, and I put it back in my closet on the floor. And then, every time I take something out of my drawers and I don't want it, it's going into the bag again.
Wow, you did a lot this week.
It sounds like more than it was, so it wasn't anything difficult.
Yeah, but still, like it still feels good. Even just awareness, even if you do nothing, just awareness makes a difference. So, high five, Robin. That's fantastic. I feel like the little hand is the high five,
Thank
the
you.
hand raising. We have time for like one more, and then if we have time at the end and anybody wants to share, you can. Does one more person like to share right now? All right, so I'll just go ahead and start, and then there'll be a little more sharing throughout it, most likely. All right, so I just want to talk about time boxing. I mentioned briefly about it last week. So the biggest thing I hear when I work with people is I'm overwhelmed. How and where do I begin? It's the biggest thing I hear. So time boxing is for those of us who look at an area, a room, our home, and we feel overwhelmed. There's so much to do, you want to turn around and walk away. Who's felt that way? Right? It's a common thing. So this technique can help you get past the overwhelm. And here's how it works. You want to choose your area to clutter clear. Clutter clearing works best when you break it down into small, manageable chunks. If you're clutter clearing a kitchen cabinet, you do one shelf at a time. If you're tackling a whole room, you want to break it down into small sections and only work on that small section. So you don't feel like, oh, I have the whole room. Then you set your timer for 20 minutes. Shut your phone off. Tell people no distractions. It's your time because clutter clearing is a form of self-care. It's your home. So you set it for 20 minutes. When the timer goes off, you want to assess how you feel. Remember, we're like tuning into our body. Do you feel energized and you want to keep going? Are you tired and you want to stop here? And then you stop. You want to make sure you check in with yourself and stop before you feel too tired. Don't go on for 4 hours and then you never want to clutter clear again. When you end each clutter clearing session feeling good, you're going to be more likely to return to it another time, the next day or another time. If you're someone that has good stamina and you know yourself well and you find that 20 minutes is too short, you can set your timer for 30 minutes or an hour. You don't have to do that. Or you can set it if you're like, okay, I'm doing healing right now. I'm just going to do 5 minutes a day. It's your choice. The most important thing is that you check in with how you feel when the timer goes off. The idea of time boxing is that you really can clutter clear your entire home in 20-minute chunks, even if it takes a year. What we're working on is building your clutter clearing muscle and getting some successes, because clutter clearing, I'll talk about this in the next section, but people think it's supposed to happen in 2 weeks and it doesn't. It's something that's ongoing, and depending on where you're at, it's always ongoing because you change and grow, but it always takes longer than you think. So just give yourself grace around that is basically what I'm saying. Any questions on time boxing? It's pretty clear, huh? Okay. All right, let's talk about clutter-free zone. When you walk into your home after being out for the day, where do you put your things? Maybe your car keys, your handbag, jackets, new items, incoming mail. In most homes, there are certain areas where daily clutter accumulates, where things tend to pile up. And before you know it, you have a pile of stuff. Some examples are the entryway, maybe the kitchen table, nightstands, and so on. This next step is about creating a clutter-free zone in your home. So what is a clutter-free zone? A clutter-free zone is a place where you never put anything just for now. I hear people say, I'm just going to put it there for now. Either because it doesn't have a place where it lives, or you can't be bothered to put it there. So basically, when you go to put things down automatically, you want to try to catch yourself and ask, where do these items belong? Or where does this item belong? Where could it live? Where could it live in my home? A clutter-free zone is about choosing an area where you might normally dump things, and you choose not to dump things there anymore. You're making the space more conscious. Clutter, by definition, is unconscious. So the only way to prevent this is to consciously own the space and declare it a clutter-free zone. I even have people write in big letters, clutter-free zone, and they put it on their table until it becomes automatic. So why would you want to have one of these? An area that's a clutter-free zone. So clutter slows and stagnates the flow of energy around your home. So the best way to get things moving in your life is to become conscious or aware of how the clutter accumulates. How did this happen? You can then make a choice to change the space. The first step is to go around your home and identify areas where stuff tends to pile up. Then choose one area. You want to choose a doable one to start, like the entryway or part of the entryway or a kitchen counter. Maybe it's a chair that you always throw things on, for example. And then you declare it a clutter-free zone. If you have family, you can bring them in on it. If they're not in on it, you just choose an area that's yours, like your nightstand. One you can complete and keep clutter-free for a week, just so you can see how it feels and if you weren't here last week and you want to watch the video, but it's like, how do you feel? Like what we're really working on is how we feel in our home. So you look at the area before, and then you do your, clutter clearing. You keep it clutter free, and you look at it after, and you're like, huh, like Lucy's sock drawer. It's like, wow, that feels good. You know, one you want to choose one you can complete. I think I said this. Keep my notes so I don't forget things. So just make sure you don't start with a large area like a garage. Don't do a whole basement. Do a small area that's going to make a difference for you. So the next step is to clutter clear it using the techniques we learned last week in time boxing. And once you clear it, try to keep it clutter free. See if you can notice when you go to place something there. Then ask yourself, where can this item live? Because sometimes we're very automatic in our homes. So for some of you, it'll feel really good. And others, it might be uncomfortable with more space. And both, it's like, I'm just inviting you to explore your home with a sense of curiosity and awareness. You want to observe how you feel without judgment. The more aware you are of what feels good to you and what doesn't feel good to you, the easier it's going to be to make a change. So another important thing is this area can have things on it. It doesn't have to be empty. It's just not the dumping ground for clutter. So for example, your entryway, you might have a lamp, a bowl for your keys, something pretty to look at, flowers, whatever. That's fine. Just don't make it a dumping ground where your code and all the things get thrown there. So especially when you walk into your house, that's not the first thing that you see. So, what area might you choose? What space would you love to see different? Anybody want to share? What area might you choose? And just raise your hand or if you have any questions on the clutter-free zone. Sherry, good to see you. You're muted.
I want to clear my garage cabinet.
Great.
So
That's
I gotta
great.
start like one shelf at a time. And some of
Exactly.
the stuff needs to be moved down to the basement because I don't need to keep it in the garage. And then when I started to do this the other day, I found a container with like 7 measuring tapes and, 6 rolls of Scotch tape. And
I
obviously,
love it.
at that point, I consolidated all the measuring tapes. But if you asked me to find one, I'd never be able to. But I found them all. They're all together in the garage, in a cabinet, all 6. So I think I just need to get rid of them and keep one in my junk drawer.
Yeah, that's perfect. Get rid of most of them and keep one where you're going to know where it is.
Maybe.
Maybe know where it is.
God willing.
Do you know some people do a list of the things that are important to find, but they're not sure where to find them? Like they just keep an ongoing list on the computer, like batteries, or something like that, right? A measuring tape. Like the things you want to be able to find right away, you can always keep like one list. Where will this live? So you're not like, oh, I found a new home for it, but where does it live? Where did I put it? Is it Ria? I'm sorry. Was that your hand up from before? Do you have something
No,
now?
I had a question. Is that's
Oh,
okay?
great. Yeah.
It's Riette. But thank you.
Riette. Thank you.
I I have so many things I get confused about with all of this, but just the category of measuring tape I relate to. I have a few, but there's a general category. I try to think in general, usually, but I also think in the particular. And I'm wondering how also if that relates to time boxing, but, or however you said it, I think that was right. But
Mhm.
also when it comes to a particular item, there are items for different purposes. There are different kinds of measuring tapes. I don't have a lot of them, but I have different kinds for different purposes. And so that means it's going to be another decision. And I hope it's not, I can overcomplicate anything, but
No,
okay. If
that's a
like,
super good question. Super
thank
good.
you.
Because it's like, where can things live where I can find them, right? Because
Yeah.
you have different tape measures for different purposes. So it's like, you want to think about categories, and let me explain why. Like, you go into the supermarket, if it was a big old everything throw in, you never find anything. But you have your vegetable aisle, you have your dairy case, you have your, meat case, you have your snack area. The more you can categorize things, so let me relate it to what you're talking about, Riet. It's like, for me, I would mostly, again, this is like you have to know what works for you. I would put all my tools together. If you
Mhm,
have a different measuring tape, let's say for sewing, then
mhm.
you put it with all your sewing items. That's another category. Say you have a project area, you keep your project tools together. So the more you can group things, like all my office stuff is here by my office table. Um, we put our plates together, we put our mugs together. The more you can categorize things and group them in areas, the easier it's going to be. Does that make sense, or do you have another question regarding
Oh,
that?
that's really helpful. And yeah, it is. What's the purpose? What's the tool for? What's any of it for?
I love
And
that.
also for me, it has to be easily accessible, especially now. So that becomes another dilemma because I don't have a lot of space for all of that. But still, I think that'll help to narrow it down. And if something's not functional, that becomes in those ways that you mentioned, then that's a reason to toss it or give it away. But the only other thing I was wondering about again is the box time thing. I'm trying to grasp, does that apply to this kind of thing where I'm figuring out what category it is and then I'm where can I put the thing and where is it easy to get to when needed, but some things maybe and it does have to do with for me time available. So that idea of stashing something somewhere, then you don't quite know where it is. Then you spend a lot of time trying to find out remember where it is, or something like that. So I'm just wondering how these things coordinate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Were you here last week? No, right?
No, I didn't know about it till
Yeah, so if
you
you
did.
could watch the video, I think this
Oh,
week it'll make so much more sense because the box system technique that I taught, and also I'll mention it again because it's really important. Clutter clearing is about going through the things and deciding what you want in your life and what you don't. So I talked about that last week. It's in the video. Once you clear out, which can take time, what you no longer want, the organizing part, which sounds like what you're talking about,
mhm.
becomes easier because you have around you what you use and need.
Mm, thank you. That's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I think you'll
I
enjoy the video
I
because of
will.
the techniques. Yeah.
Good.
And
Good.
also, I go through what clutter actually is, and that I think is really helpful because that's confusing to people too.
Yeah, yeah, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments on this, or you want to share where you're going to work on? Jean, good to see you. You have to unmute. Whoops. Sorry.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Okay.
I just unmuted myself. Yeah.
Great.
So I just wanted to share from my own experience because I've gone through levels over time of organizing. I've never been able to, it's just not been a one and done thing in my life at all. And so that question about categories, um, the something that has helped me is that I have a small apartment, but there is an area where there's a utility closet, and I actually have things, see-through boxes, and things are grouped according to like tool, and even I have miscellaneous stuff. But I went through another level of adding labels to the
Oh,
boxes, and it just has made my life so much easier to say, okay, utility closet has tools, and then there's separate boxes for things. And I just put labels on it because I can never remember. I've given up on trying to remember.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead.
No, that's it. Just putting labels on things makes a difference for me long term.
I'm high-fiving you. High five, Jean. You know, it's wonderful. I love also when I can see things. It's great that you did clear containers and labels because then you have the label, you can kind of see through what's in there. It's nice if you have the same size and it looks nice and you can stack
Mhm.
them. So thank you for sharing that. It's a great idea. Really good. Thanks, Jean. All right. I just want to talk a little bit more about why it's important to create conscious spaces in the home. So home it's not just a brick and mortar structure where you live and store your possessions. I mean, it's some of that, yes, but it's also where you anchor your energy and you rest your consciousness. Everybody says to me, what does that mean? So what does that mean? There's a huge difference between living in a place you call home and truly energetically taking ownership of the place where you live. Kind of what Jean just said. She took ownership of that area. She can find her things. Now it works for her. So, for example, pick a place where you sit all the time and look around. Think about it. Where do you sit all the time in your home? And look around. What do you see and what don't you see anymore? What's on the surfaces? What's on the walls? Do you walk by the same unread pile of magazines or clippings daily that have been sitting there hoping to be read someday? Is there anything you haven't paid attention to in a while that maybe you want to be different now? I was working with somebody who, I'm just going to change the story a little for confidentiality, but I worked on her entryway. And she wanted the closet to the right done. And then there was an entryway table, and the only thing on it was this really big pine cone. So it was pretty clear when you walked in, she wanted to work on the closet. And then here's this pine cone. And I looked at her and I said, what's the significance of the pine cone for you? And she goes, what pine cone? And it was like, when you walk in, you're like in the same space all the time, you don't even see it. She goes, oh, I put that there 2 years ago. Look how dusty it is. And she threw it back out into nature. It's just this huge pine cone. So it's like, I think it's just like, what do we see and what don't we see? Because once we do, then we can make a change, right? So the more awareness you have, the more you can be like, I don't want that picture on my wall anymore. I forgot about that. I don't even look at it anymore. It doesn't do anything for me. So clutter clearing, it's not about having a pristine home. It's like, it's about having a home that supports you in living your life now. It's about having the right amount of stuff around you so you feel supported, yet not so much that it's a burden to you. So I'm inviting you to choose what occupies the space in your home. And also to take your time doing this. I'm going to say that again. Take your time doing this. Small changes add up to big changes. And in my experience, like I said, clutter clearing just takes time. And it is an ongoing thing, right, Jean? It's ongoing. You do one area and then you're like, "Oh, my life has changed. Let's do it differently now." So I'm going to say this again. Be gentle with yourself as you look around and appreciate what you notice and the small changes that you make. People are very hard on themselves in their home, especially if it doesn't feel the way you'd like it to feel. So, any questions or comments on creating conscious spaces? Jean.
So I've kind of done that looking around thing, and I'm trying to prepare myself to make some major changes in my space. And one of the things I realize is I have too much stuff. The problem is I like it. I mean, even though I I don't need to have all of it out all at once, but when I think about getting rid of some of the things but I really like the things I've collected. So for me, that feels like a conflict. I'm not sure what to do.
I mean, that's just beautiful. I would love that you're bringing that up. Because so again, we have choices, right? It's hard when there's a small space and there's a lot of things you want and you like. So if there are items you want to keep, if if you don't want to keep them and you're having trouble letting them go, that's one thing. That's what I'm going to talk about next week. But if it's stuff you're like, no, I really want these in my life, but it's too much stuff around, I can't, it's not how I want it to be. And I think you said you had a storage unit, right?
No,
Oh, that was somebody else. Sorry, sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so it's tricky. It's like if you have a place to put things away and you're actually going to rotate them, they don't just sit. But if you don't, then it's like really the decision like, what is my favorite stuff and can I have it around? Like you have to kind of weigh out. Like, do you have an area where you can store things or you don't?
Yeah, I personally don't believe in spending money on storage units for myself for my budget. Um, and I make like there's a space that I keep clear because I think it creates air and like the way
Yeah,
my
yeah,
husband,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And so yeah,
yeah,
I could get nice boxes and put stuff in, but I feel that that's an energy thing that I want to keep it as clear as possible.
totally.
Um,
And just to clarify, I'm not recommending a storage unit. I meant within the home.
oh. uh,
But so go ahead.
So as I go through this process, I might find other things I want to get rid of that are occupying space that I may be able to figure out how to store it. Um,
Yeah. It's a really good question, especially with small. What I really try to pass is, and next week I'm really going to get into this, like, can we keep the meaning of things within ourselves so that we can just have around us what supports us in the now? Because too many things, if it's stressful for you, how might your life be different if you let some of those items go? What's the feelings that would come up? Because we can like a lot of things, right? What would you miss about it? And can you replace it with something that's not material? Again, I'm going to talk about these things next week, but it is hard. It's like, oh, I like all my shirts or I like all these things and it's like I don't really have space for it. Can you find fulfillment with what you have around you, like what does it do for you? And can you find it in another way where it's not material? So that's something to ponder. And then I'll get more into that next week.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Jean. It's because I'm the same way. I've had a hard time letting go of some things, but in my small home, I also keep open spaces because I do think it's really healthy. So you're very intuitive about that with energetics in the home. So I'll be curious if you're here next week, what that's like for you. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Great question. Sherry. Oh, you're muted.
I gave away a bunch of clothing that I wasn't really using anymore. And there were a couple things that I kind of missed, you know. And then I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw a lady wearing one of the dresses that I really, really miss. And it was so pretty. And I got so upset. And I just said to her, I used to have that dress and I really love it. And she said, and then you got rid of it? And I said, yes, I did. And I really miss it. It's so pretty. She said, oh, thank you. My sister gave it to me for my birthday. And I went home and I was like, of all the dang things to see, that particular thing. So, I don't know. I guess you just have to deal with the feeling of loss and,
Yeah.
you just have to deal with it because there's nothing else I can do. It's gone. And, it was kind of old. So, but it was still so great. And I just connect to like, I like my things, and giving them away is kind of painful. But, do I like my
Yeah.
empty space better? And, you can't really get them back. So,
Yeah, you kind of weigh it out and it's ultimately it's not really about the item, right? Because I mean, in a way, because the dress made you feel really pretty, right? Can you feel pretty with a different dress? No. Can you appreciate it on her? And if there's grief, can you feel what comes up in you? You know what I mean? You just let it move. Like I've given away stuff that's been hard, and then the tears, and then it's like, okay, you let the energy move. You open for other things. I mean, it is. It's all the things, right? And yeah. So everything is how we look at it. But yeah, I hear you, Sherry. Thank you for sharing. I know that feeling, and it's like, okay, how can we feel the way we want to feel? Because we come in with nothing, we're born with nothing, we leave with nothing. Can we, have what we want around us, but also it's really how we feel inside. Riet.
Um, Again, please excuse me, but I think listening to the first video will help. I'm guessing, and I certainly appreciate all the conversation now. It is helpful, but it is that question, I guess, of um, things change and things are no longer, there are things, and maybe I think I heard you say something like that. The things, the material that have connection and provide connection, and
Yep,
yet things change all the time. Is
they
it
do.
relevant? Is it useful? And I think where I've struggled a lot is there something that replaces it in value, and how to find that, what that value is. It
What
may
do you
not
mean in
be.
value? Do you have an example? What do you mean about
Um,
that?
I'm thinking of well, the magazines, no, because I don't think they had value at one point. I like these articles. I want to read them. I haven't had time, and I've had some health things to deal with that make them really low on the priority now, and that's annoying, disappointing. Change of that kind. That's one category, and on the personal category, the photo of some other time or photos, and and they have they have a kind of value, but can that maybe that's the question? Can the question is can the value change to be more um, uh, productive and more supportive. Maybe holding on to old values is not the best idea either.
Yes, see, that's it. That's the key. I'm going to get into that next week, and I want to keep us on time today, but I love your thinking.
Thank you.
Because what clutter, so I'm not talking about things you like that you use. Clutter is often unresolved grief. It's often a buffer from things. It's sometimes things of times gone by. Okay, so I'm going to do that next week. So let me keep going, but I love your way of thinking, Riette. Lucy, real quick, and then I'll move on.
I decided not to because I want you to be able to move on. Yeah.
Aw,
I would just say about the dress, a lot of things that I want to give away or have given away, they represent a different part of my life that's not true anymore. And I'm mourning that rather than the dress or the sweater or whatever.
totally. Thank you, Lucy. Yeah. Oh, next week's going to be good. You guys are ahead of me. Um, okay, I want to talk about tidying up once a day if you can.
Mm.
So I'm going to talk about cultivating a habit so the clutter clearing work you do gets reinforced instead of messed up again. So at times our days get busy or we don't feel well or different things happen in our life. And we don't have time in the moment to put things back where they belong. So I'm going to invite you to take 5 or 10 minutes each day to tidy up. Or if you're not able to, pick twice a week. In the clutter clearing world, I call it getting back to ready. For example, if it's your kitchen, the dishes are done, the counter is clear, so it's ready for the next time you go to use it. If you're someone who tries on 3 outfits when getting dressed in the morning, I do that sometimes, use this time to pick up the clothes you didn't wear and put them back where they belong. So it could be your kitchen, could be your bedroom, your clutter-free zone. You choose where you'd like to tidy up. And see if you can make it a habit like you would brushing your teeth. So who here knows about habit stacking? Have you heard about habit stacking? Okay, I'm going to just briefly talk about it. It's when you're trying to create a new habit, in this case, tidying up 5 or 10 minutes a day, and you want to pick your best time of day. For some people it's morning, some people it's afternoon, some people it's evening. So habit stacking is when you're trying to create a new habit and you add it on to an already existing habit that you do all the time. You group them. So an example of habit stacking would be, let's say you brush your teeth and then you tidy up for 10 minutes immediately after. Just kind of put things back. Grouping them together until tidying up becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth. So you group two habits together. For some people, it takes 2 weeks, and for some people, it takes 2 to 4 months. It's not something, again, don't be hard on yourself. It doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What's important is that you feel good about the habits that you personally want to create, the ones that improve your life. So I'm encouraging you to tidy up for 1 week and notice how you feel. So notice how you feel before. And sometimes, like I always give my bathtub example, I never want to clean my bathtub. So I look at it for a few days and I'm like, oh. And then I finally go and I get my supplies and I clean my bathtub and it takes me 10 minutes and then it shines for almost 2 weeks again. So it's like sometimes it's like that. So I look at it before and then I look at it after, and that keeps me wanting to do it because it's like, wow, I feel better when I do this. So I'm just encouraging you to notice before and notice after and see if it makes a difference in your life. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. So to sum things up for today, we talked about time boxing, which helps when you feel overwhelmed. And sometimes people say, oh, it took me 2 years to try your technique, and wow, it really works. And it doesn't work for everybody. So just try things if you can. We talked about creating a clutter-free zone and just starting to make the spaces in your home more conscious. Tidying up once a day, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes. Notice, don't forget this part, notice the difference it makes for you. How do you feel? How do you want to feel in your home, in your sanctuary? And then step back and acknowledge what you did. Celebrate your success. Step back and be like, wow, I really feel good about this area. And then if that changes at some point, then you change it. Nothing has to be set in stone. And, I'll just tell you another story because we have a little bit of time. I was working with somebody recently who he had tried all these different jobs and he was really wanting to be seen and he was really a brilliant creative person and he was trying to like get himself out there and be seen. And he had heard about like feng shui, clutter clearing, things like that. And he's like, so even though he didn't believe in it, he's like, okay, let's try it. I've tried other things. So we go into his office and the first thing I see on the wall is a picture of a person in meditation position, this big picture with no face. And I was like, oh, what's the significance of the picture? And again, he didn't really look at it. He just kind of and he wasn't attached to it. But here, think about what you have around you and what you want in your life. So here's a faceless man. How's he going to be seen? So I was like, are you attached to it? He wasn't. Would you be willing to take it down? He took it down. It took 3 months, but he wrote me 3 months later and he said, I got an opportunity that I never thought I'd get. So you never know. I'm not saying it's always related, but like think about what you have around you, right? It's often related. So this is what I mean about conscious spaces. What are we attached to and why? And just look around. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, how come you have 6 pears on the wall? And they're like, what do you mean? And then there's all these pictures, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I liked one, I put it up, and then everybody started giving me pears. And so they put it up. So it's like, who are you now? What items are supporting you? And what are from things of the past that you're like, maybe that isn't me anymore. Because the memories live inside of us. Again, that's next week, but since we had time, I'm having you start to think about it. So we have about 6 minutes. So I'll open it up to questions or comments on anything in the clutter clearing world that we've covered.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Yes,
Laura.
yes, thank you. I wasn't able to make it last week, and I don't know if you covered this, but so I have a lot of pictures scattered in different closets throughout my house. Did you speak of like how do you unclutter that and go through pictures and determine like which ones to get rid of and which ones to keep?
And are you saying pictures like photographs or?
Photographs. I'm sorry, photographs.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't cover photographs. I tend to do that in a paper series, but let me just give you a few things.
Okay.
So you take a small amount at a time, pick one area, start with a small amount. They're very emotional for a lot of people, photos.
Yeah.
So I don't ever suggest people start with that, but if that's weighing on you, and then you start to go through them like if you have multiples of like say you have any blurry photos, people you don't know, sad times, like those are kind of the easy things that you can let go of.
Okay.
The hardest thing about photos is the ones you want to keep grouping them into categories.
Okay.
So I would say to start, if there's ones you want to keep, you get a bunch of envelopes. You'd be like, okay, this is my child's event, this is a wedding, this is this, and label them and start to group them into categories. The more you can have categories and the more you can be like, oh, I have 10 pictures from this event, and really I only need one or two to remember the event. Or like a lot of people have like 100 pictures of just or more of like a child at age 5.
Hmm.
Can you pick your favorite 10 or however many you want to end up with? So before you put them into, are they in frames or just boxes right
No
now?
boxes and plastic bags throughout. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's the most common, and those are the things that I don't even want to say it, that people leave for last and sometimes never get to. So if you're wanting to do it, I love that. So take out the ones that first you can let go of, and then try to categorize, and then you can put them into usable ways. The other thing is printed photos, you really should get archival boxes because if you look online, archival boxes is what you'll need. Otherwise, they can go bad.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's the short version because I kind of need a bigger context for it. But the thing that's hardest is how to get started. And then once I get started, what to do. And I would say the more you can let go of, the easier it will be to categorize.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Very helpful.
Good question, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 3 minutes. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well,
Quick question, Marilyn. I was just
yeah,
wondering, regarding the photos, I know that there are services where you can send in, big boxes of photos and they will do that for you. Is that something you recommend? I mean, as opposed to somehow either doing it yourself, because I know there are apps also where you can do it yourself. So if you are willing to move printed photos to a digital format, how do you suggest going about that?
exactly that. Thank you for bringing that up, Rachel. I always recommend going digital so you don't have all the photos. So if you're willing to do that and you look online, it's easy to find places who will categorize, digitize, and then you can let go of the printed photos, which can't be recycled, have to go into the garbage, just FYI. But Rachel, that's great. Thank you. Yes, if you're willing to digitize, it's just such a nice way to keep them. And if you digitize them on your computer, make sure you back up your computer or you will lose them all. Um, yeah, I think that's actually a great idea if you're willing to do that. All right, so next week, I'm going to talk about ways to take care of yourself while clutter clearing. That'll be the short version at the end. But the main thing I want to talk about is aspirational clutter, sentimental clutter, and what do you do about the emotional items? That's where people get stuck. So that's going to be like most of next week, except for a sharing in the beginning. And I think if there's no questions, then we're Sherry. Are you high-fiving? Let's all high five each other. Do something good for yourself this week in your home, even if it's moving one item. And thank you so much for coming, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Good
Thank you
to see
so
all of
much, Marilyn.
you.
This is so much more than clutter clearing. It's really it's just such a supportive and lovely setting. And I think that you're right. It really is very emotional as opposed to just about tangible and concrete objects. So you bring such a sense of compassion and empathy to the whole process. And it's just really, really lovely. So thank you all for being here. Most importantly, thank you to Marilyn and thank you to Sherry for making this wonderful introduction and looking forward to continuing the conversation next week.